So if you're in the police promotion process, it is highly likely, actually it's pretty much a certainty, that you're going to get asked a question about performance. Either rear-facing, tell me how you have managed performance in the past, or forward-facing, tell me in the future how you would manage performance as a leader. These are absolute bankers, and this is something we covered at a recent Promotion Academy webinar. This is where we actually help people to plan, prepare and practice for their board so that we can guarantee they pass. If you want more information about that, how to access it by the way, check the links below. Anyway, why should you listen to me? My name's Brendan, I'm the founder of Bluelight. I've been doing this now for 30 years. I've been in the police sector now for 39 years. I joined the police in 1985. For the past 30 years, I've been helping people, supporting people to succeed in promotion boards, specialist interviews, and in the police recruitment process with an amazing amount of success. 30 years of mistakes, 30 years of successes under my belt. So we started talking in depth about this, and in this video, I'm going to share with you some of that in depth. And I'm hoping it's going to be really useful for you to try and change the culture a little bit. And it's a culture thing that emerged in this webinar. So the first question I asked was, what's the policy? What's your policy for improving performance? You must have one, seeing it's so important. And no one, and this is people from Northern Ireland, Wales, England, no one from Scotland on this webinar, but we have got people from Scotland. No one could actually quote what the policy was on performance. Although everyone said, yeah, it's in the strategic plan. You know, performance is always in the strategic plan. But it just struck me, there's no policy for it. There's no procedure for it. We love policies and procedures in the police. Actually, I was pulling their legs because I kind of know that it probably doesn't exist. We do have policies for underperformance. We have UPP, unsatisfactory performance and attendance procedures. We have Reg 13 for student officers. We have action plans. We have action plans. The thing is though, none of them work. They all result in people either leaving or staying and being really peed off. I mean, let me ask you this question. How many of you have been on an action plan or know someone who's been on an action plan where you or the other person has come out of it saying, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. I was so pleased to have an action plan. I'm so grateful for my line manager for putting me on an action plan. It's something no one ever says. I don't know of anyone who's come out of an action plan, including me. I've been action plan. Someone's trying to organize me. Those of you who know me know that I don't do lists or anything like that. They tried to get me to do lists and I failed miserably. My action plan just didn't work out because I couldn't even find where I put the list. You know, I'd lost it. Anyway, back to the point. They don't work. They don't work. Or we pretend they work. We kind of make them work. And at the end of it, we'll sign someone off as having completed their action plan. I mean, it's just BS. It's never worked. I mean, like I said, I've been in the police sector since 1985. I have not come across anyone who's ever said, I'm so grateful that really worked. All I hear is grumbling, moaning, and lots of swear words about the person who put them on the action plan. So why are we even considering doing them? I've got an alternative for you. It's coming up soon. It's the performance triangle. For those of you who watched my previous video about the leadership triangle, the triangle of the love triangle of leadership, this one's not got love in it. It's got a lot of care and passion in it for others. There's no love in it though, but it is another triangle. I do like my triangles. So I'll tell you more about this in a moment, but some more of the background. So the other questions I asked of the team was, what typically happens when someone's not performing? And that's when it led to sort of action plans and all the rest of it. But also, what came out of it is how people who aren't performing, and when I say performance, I mean people who've got the knowledge and understanding that they need to behave in a certain way that allows them to carry out a certain function within the police service. Values, people have either got them or they haven't. Hopefully they've got them when they join. We can just nurture and develop them and reinforce them. But in terms of performance, it tends to be around knowledge and understanding, which leads to behaviors, which leads to people performing. I know it sounds a bit simplistic, but if anyone's, oh, by the way, if anyone disagrees with any of this, then, you know, check the comments, say something in the comments and I'll get back to you. So what came out of it was that leaders tend to leave performance issues and only deal with them when they become really serious, as opposed to getting a grip of them at the very, very beginning. I'm not saying that happens all the time. I'm saying there's a tendency, and this is something I observed and still observe in the police sector now. Or if it's managed at all, like we talked about new policies being introduced on body-worn video, domestic violence, stop and search. And this is actually a phrase from an email that someone looked up live in the webinar. They're not breaching any, they weren't breaching anything. This is just the phrase that was used. We will monitor compliance and deal with you accordingly if you don't do the thing. What on earth do we mean by deal with accordingly? How we're motivating people. I mean, it's inspiration, support and inspiration by monitoring compliance and hoping that people are actually going to read your emails. I mean, seriously, we are managing performance by emails in many forces. I'm not saying this is exclusive. I'm just saying I think there's a tendency for this. And let me know in the comments. You may be from a force where you just say, this doesn't happen. We're amazing at managing performance. Everyone's really motivated. Everyone's really inspired. Everyone's behind our vision. Hey, if you've got that, I'd love to come and visit your force and see how you're doing it. And then the other thing that came out of it was people get sidelined a little bit. It's like they get called lazy, useless, they get written off, uniform carrier. All of the phrases that I've heard over the past 4 decades since I joined, still knocking around now. Is that good enough? And so we started talking about what a typical answer would look like for tell me in the future as a leader how you would manage performance. And it just came out as a shopping list of I'd do that, I'd meet with them, I'd find out what the causes are, discipline, welfare, training triangle. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the discipline, welfare, training triangle because it helps focus your mind, but not as much as this one will. And then an action plan or written warning or whatever, and it's very same old. It's just the same old thing being rolled out. And I can guarantee you this: at the end of the day, the interviewers will not remember you. You'll have delivered this shopping list, and they will not remember you because all you've told them is what the force policy is for unsatisfactory performance. Whereas the competency is about supporting and inspiring people. The ownership thing is about taking ownership of individual and team performance, not underperformance. So how are we going to translate that into something meaningful? What I did is I've been thinking about this for a long time. I've searched up the research, and the research it can be a bit boring actually. It just tends to talk about smart action plans and stuff like that. So the same old. So I started looking at the world of childcare because we've got children. And if you want children to behave in a certain way, you don't attack the child. You attack their behavior. It's not the child that's naughty. It's the behavior that's naughty. And so I started thinking about those principles, raising children. And then I took a look at the world of business because often business has got it right. And I'm talking about the entrepreneurs of the world. And I've got to credit Alex Hormozy here because his idea around the triangle is one that I've sort of built on and to apply it to the police sector. So Alex Hormozy, hey, if you're ever listening to this, my friend, awesome. And so I've come up with this triangle of performance, and it's a morph of my experience, childcare, Alex Hormozy, Stephen Bartlett, loads of other sort of thought leaders. And I think this is going to work. I think you're going to like this. I'm just looking at the time now. I might not have time to finish all of it. If you want, I'm going to have to break it into 2 videos. So if you're watching this, and I'm going to go as far as I can so that I can finish in sort of 12 minutes, the second part will be available in the Bluelight Facebook group. Now, this is in excess of 25,000 people in this group. You can find the links below. I'll put part 2 in the Facebook group. Please do come and join us. It's like a bribe, isn't it? It's like an ethical bribe. Come and join our Facebook group. If you do, I'll give you part 2. If you find part 1 useful, you've got this far, so hopefully it will be. All right, so when people aren't performing, it's got to be down to one of 3 reasons, all right? It's got to be. I can't think of anything else. If you can think of something else, let me know in the comments and I can turn it into a square of performance. But I think it's going to be one of these 3 categories. First one, they don't know how to do the thing. Whatever the thing is, the body-worn video policy, the domestic violence policy, the stop search policy. They don't actually know how to do it. So that's why they're not performing. That's why they're not doing the thing, whatever the thing is, whatever the performance is that you're looking for, they're not doing it because they don't know how. More about that in a moment. At the top there, they don't know they need to. They genuinely didn't get the email. They went on holiday and they came back to 400 emails, and your email or the chief inspector's email was one of those 400, and they didn't actually know. Or they went to the training and they didn't actually understand it. We think just because someone's been on the training that they know they need to do something, or they know they have to do it. It's a misconception. It doesn't work like that. The world doesn't work like that. And the third one. They don't know why they need to do it. They're just not motivated to do the thing, whatever it is. And so I think that performance will always come into one of these three categories. Like I said, if you can think of a fourth one, let me know. Actually, a fourth one did crop up in our webinar. And it's this one. Barriers. If there's a barrier to someone stopping them doing the thing, whatever the performance is, then that's on you as a leader. They can't unblock it. It's an immovable object that they can't push through. It's a locked door that's just not opening for them, whether it's a CPS or another partner agency or whatever the blockage is, the barrier is. That's not on them. It doesn't fall into the category of they don't know how to do it. It doesn't fall into the category of they don't know they need to do it. And it doesn't fall under the category of they don't know why they need to do it. This is on you. It's a barrier. So you've got to unpick that one. So more about that another time. But I felt as though we needed to include it because it cropped up in our webinar as we were exploring and unpicking how we're going to actually deliver on this as an answer. And then the other thing that came up, which I think is quite important, which I quite like, is all of the performance starts off with you creating a vision as a leader for when you do this performance, it will result in. You've got to have a vision and you've got to get behind it with some passion. Seriously, and this is where I think that's a key part of your promotion board is having some passion, some enthusiasm. Get them on the edge of their seats so they absolutely remember you. At the end of the week, you're like the standout character, the standout promotion board candidate, the one that is at the top of their list, the one they're going to remember forever, because you were the one that tapped into their emotional side, their decision-making process, the emotional decision-making process, not the tick box decision-making process, because there's only one question they're really asking themselves as a superintendent or a chief superintendent on the board is, can I see this person as an effective leader on my team? If the answer is no, they'll find a way to fail you. If the answer is yes, they'll find a way to pass you. Some of you might be thinking that's really unfair and it's not very objective. Hey, whoever said the promotion process was fair? Another video on that another time. We're not even going to get into that one. So vision and passion, really important. Barriers, unblock them. Reasons why, don't know how, don't know they need to do it, don't know why, they're just not motivated. All right, so those are the three things. That's the performance triangle. All right, I'm going to come to the end of this video now. In the second part, and you'll find the second part in the Facebook group, and there's a link below to it. Once you're in that Facebook group, you will be able to find the post just by searching in the Facebook group Performance Triangle, and it will bring up this and part two, because in part two, I'm going to talk to you about how you would actually address these issues in a way that means you don't need an action plan, you don't need UPP, you don't need Reg 13, and you actually retain your officers as opposed to driving them away from the service, because retention is a huge issue. How many of you would like to see part two? Let me know in the comments and we'll send you the link, or the link should be in the blurb below. Whichever, we will get you into the Facebook group where you'll find a ton more material that will be helpful for you in the promotion process. Absolutely guarantee it. I guarantee it's useful because we get that feedback all the time. That was really useful. That was really helpful. That was different. And this is going to be different. This will have them on the edge of their seats thinking, if I failed this person, I'd be an idiot. All right, I'll see you on the other side. Bye-bye for now.